Hi artists, this is Mrs. RT, the art teacher from the Angelo School. Today we are going to be talking about pattern, line, and contrast to make a pattern drawing like this with our letter in a bubble or block letter, and then we'll use lines and colors to fill in the background. So we are going to start with the story, How the Crayons Saved the Rainbow. And I want to see in this story if you can see what the contrast might be. The sun and the clouds were best friends. They worked together to keep the earth warm and gardens growing. But all of the things they did together, their favorite was making rainbows so that the whole world would be colorful and happy. Then one day, the sun and the clouds had a big fight. The clouds were blocking the sun, and the sun couldn't shine through to the earth. The sun went sizzle, sizzle, sizzle at the clouds, and the clouds went clap, bang, boom back. They stopped being friends, and they were never in the sky together again. With the sun and the clouds far apart, it was scorching hot on some days and damp and cold on others. And worst of all, there were no more rainbows. Without the rainbows, the flowers, streams, and even the cities start to lose their color. Soon the earth was black and white. You can see it slowly starting to get more and more gray. But in one little town, in one little school, in one little desk, there was one forgotten about box of crayons. The crayons still had their color. The desk rattled, shook, and clanked, and all of a sudden it toppled over and the box of crayons tumbled out. So you can see on this page the whole school is in black and white. And think about your school. Is your school bright and colorful, or is it all black and white and gray like that? But then we found one little box of colorful crayons. Yippee, said Green. Get off me, said Orange. Red says, I'm out of here. Blue says, woe is me. And Purple asked, hey, where are all the colors? The crayons started to search for colors. They raided the marker bins. They tore through art projects. But everything as far as they could see was only black and white. Green said, who made all the colors go away? Blue says, this is so sad. Red says, it is terrible. Yellow asked, what about the daffodils and butter? And Orange says, if oranges aren't orange, do I even exist? The crayons looked out the window. The sun was all the way to one side of the sky looking angry, and the clouds were all the way to the other looking gloomy. I miss all of the colors. We can't even draw rainbows together now, says Blue. And Violet says, wait, that's it. We need to save the rainbows. So the crayons started drawing little rainbows all over town. But nothing happened. The sun and the clouds didn't seem to notice. We have to make our rainbows bigger, Violet says. Working together, the crayons drew and scribbled. Ever so slowly, the sun perked up and the clouds floated in for a closer look. The sun and the clouds both peered down, admiring the giant rainbow that the crayons had drawn. With bright colors, what bright colors, said the sun. It's incredible, said the clouds. They looked at each other with big smiles. And this right here we see is contrast, which is opposite elements next to each other. So we have the whole city and world is all black and white and gray, and then this big bright rainbow of colors. The sun said to the clouds, remember when we used to be together all the time and make rainbows? The clouds nodded. I'm sorry for going clap, bang, boom at you. I'm sorry for going sizzle, sizzle, sizzle at you, said the sun. It's better being friends, said the sun, and the clouds agreed. They hugged. The sun shined brightly, and the clouds misted with happy rain. Ever so slowly, rainbows appeared near and far, turning the world colorful once again. You can see it's all gray, and then slowly brings all that color back. And now the whole city is covered in that big rainbow, and it's all colorful again. So now we're going to take a look at our 3 items that we're working with today: pattern, line, and contrast. So line is a moving point in space. So we have dashed lines, dotted lines, zigzag lines, vertical lines, horizontal lines. These are castle lines, wavy or curvy lines, straight lines, diagonal, and then spiral or swirl lines. There are a lot of other types of lines that you can use too, but these are some examples. Pattern, which we've done a lot with, is something that repeats itself. You could have patterns with shapes, lines, colors. Our shape example here: triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. We have line patterns, or you could even do color patterns. Could be green, blue, yellow, and it will keep repeating itself. And then the final thing we are working with is contrast, which we saw in the story with the gray city and the big colorful rainbow over it. So contrast is 2 opposite elements that are next to each other. So it could be smooth and rough, light or dark, large and small. For today, we are going to use contrast with black and white in the letter that we choose, and then the whole background will be bright and colorful. So the first step we're going to do today, you can choose a letter, any letter you want, and we're going to make that as a block letter. If you already know how to do a bubble or a block letter, you can get started with that with pencil right away. And then we're going to fill in the full letter with all different patterns. You can see I have some line patterns. We have some shape patterns. So the first step is to draw your bubble or block letter in pencil. Then fill it all in with just black and white. You could use marker or crayon. Fill in the whole letter with pattern. And then the final step would be to add all different types of lines in the background and then color it in. So remember, our letter will be done in all black and white, and our background will be all done in color. So I would recommend with letters starting with a pencil first so that you can make sure you get the shape down. I'm going to show you a little trick here for a couple different letters, or show you I learned how to make bubble or block letters. So the first thing I would do, I'm going to show you with green. This part we would erase. So you could just write the letter how you would normally write it. Then you can take your pencil and trace right around the letter. Go all the way around it. And then for the A, we also need that triangle on the inside. And then when you're ready and you have your outline done, you could go back in, and that first line I showed you in green, which you did in pencil, you could go in and erase, and then you would have your block letter. So you can do that little trick with any letter that you want. I'll show you a few other examples. I'll show you with J, M, and K. You can do this with any letter. So the first step would be just to write the letter out in pencil, and then you trace right around it. You can do this with any letter that you want to choose for your background. So that's a few examples for our bubble or block letters. So now what you're going to do, pick your letter, whichever letter you want to choose, make it as your bubble or block letter. Then fill in the whole letter with different patterns and lines. Remember, this is all black and white. And then the background, you can add all those different types of lines and color it in, and that will be our contrast. So I hope you enjoyed today's project with pattern, line, and contrast. I can't wait to see what you make.